Hello and welcome to the Modern Homesteading Podcast. You always smile when I say that, Rachel. Do you catch you off guard when I start saying it?
I don't know. I love it. I love it. In fact, I told somebody about our podcast today.
Oh, well, today we're going to talk about outdoor kitchens and cooking outside. That'll be a fun little topic. Um,
It's one of my favorite things to do in the summer.
I like to cook outside, but mostly just because to get out of a hot kitchen. And we can talk about that in a little bit for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So how goes the homestead, the two homestead thing? Making progress there?
Well, we're getting close to not having two homesteads because the house is listed. So that's cool. Finally, I was meeting with the realtor today, and I just blew in here to talk to you and the realtor's assistant, who I was telling about the podcast. Because when we were at the house, she was looking at the garden and all the strawberries that are still there and stuff, and talking about it. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
But other than that, we have strawberries that are in blossom and starting to grow. We got 2 hard frosts, but the strawberries seem to be fine. I got lots of plants that lived. I have a couple that I think didn't make it. I'm kind of bummed. I think my male clones of my mulberries did not make it. But we'll see. Mulberry always comes a little bit later. So I'm hoping it's just late and it didn't die because I really wanted those male clones. But everything else did really good. And I'm really excited. My sea berry, or what else do they call it besides sea berry? Sea buckthorn. Sea berry / sea buckthorn. Those all are thriving. My hardy kiwis are thriving. So, I mean, it feels like probably 90% of the stuff made it through the winter and through the move. So we have started transplanting them into the food forest.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if your mulberry didn't make it. I told you a while back that I cut a bunch of logs off of my mulberry tree because I coppiced it, and I put mushroom spawn and I plugged them with the mushroom plugs, and they're just laying down and they're cut and they're sprouting leaves like crazy. The logs
Are they really?
And I'm like, they're not even rooted. They're putting off leaves. I mean, full leaves. And
wow.
Like, how does this happen? I mean, it's just crazy. Mulberry just wants to live no matter what. It just wants to live.
Kind of like willow. Willow's like that.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of your mushrooms start to fruit or no?
No, not yet. It says it takes like 6 months. When I was reading it, it said it takes like 6 months for them to start.
I'm excited to see how that goes.
I hope they do all right. Like I said, I don't know if that's a good thing that's putting off leaves. It might be, I don't know. I don't know if it means something like the wood isn't right for it or something, but you're supposed to use fresh cut wood. So I don't know. We'll see. I haven't tried it in mulberry before, so we'll see how those go. But yeah, I don't know. The garden some things look really good, some things not. Like my beans are being ravished by something. I don't know. I think maybe slugs, and the cucumbers as well. Something's tearing them up pretty good. So I'm hoping enough of those are going to survive and get big and produce lots of stuff, because they're really getting. To be honest though, I haven't been putting a lot of attention to the garden because I've been so busy working on all the projects around here, the building projects and stuff.
I saw your fence photos. That is so beautiful. I love it.
Nice. Yeah, it came out nice. But I'm almost got the siding done on the house now. I still got about half of one side to go, and then the siding will be done on the house. So that's been a big project. And then I'm putting gravel down in more walkways, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, you were complaining about your back, and my back hurts from all of the projects as well.
Yeah, it's a lot. And like I said, unfortunately, the garden's probably suffering a little bit because of it, because I haven't been putting much attention into the garden. Everything's planted, everything's growing, but some of the things aren't looking real good. Some of them's doing great. I mean, I've already got some tomatoes growing, showing.
Do you guys have you had any cold nights, or has it been pretty warm?
Nothing below freezing, but yeah, cool. It's been in the 40s. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we've had down low 30s. So
yeah, we haven't been, I think around 40. I think we got down to like right around 40, 41 a couple of nights here recently. Especially down low 50s tonight. It's been getting pretty cool. It isn't, we had a few hot days, really hot, like 80s. And ever since then, it's been low 70s, high 60s.
That's what it did here too.
Yeah, it's not been a real hot springtime, really.
Yeah, that's what it did here too. But at least we haven't had all of the storms. Man, down south has just been ravaged by all of these tornadoes and storms. But has it been missing you? All the storms?
We had some last week, but it rained a little bit today, but I think it's done. It didn't rain much. We needed it, actually. Yeah, I was going to have to water the garden tonight or tomorrow if it hadn't rained today. So yeah, it was due. I was walking by the Jerusalem artichokes earlier today, and they're already almost 5 feet tall. I couldn't believe it. I was like, these things are shooting up like crazy.
Are you going to put those on your website like you sell your comfrey?
Maybe sometime. I don't have that. I mean, I have a patch of them, but I don't have enough yet they're spreading.
Are those ones you got from Jordy?
Yeah, and that's a pretty good patch now, but I need them to spread a lot more. I need a bigger patch of them.
I think I need some of those. Those seem to get really big.
I thought you got some from him. Yeah.
I did. I'm not sure if they have started sprouting yet or not. I'm not. I don't think they have. If they did, then I missed it when I went down and checked in the nursery.
Those things were so tall. I bet they were pushing 20 feet last year. I don't know. They were so
I know
tall.
You said that, and I would love to have something. I need, I just want some of that biomass, and that's a lot of biomass. 20 feet.
Yeah, they're huge. I really need to move them because now that I've redesigned the property, I don't really like where they're at, but moving them is a challenge because they tend to settle in where they're at pretty good.
If you break any of them, that's it. They're staying.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So I'd have to just completely dig up and then probably cover the area to block sunlight for a while just to cook them what's in there maybe or something. I don't know.
Right.
Solarize it. But anyway, yeah. So they're impressive.
Do you eat them or do you have them just because they're pretty?
No, I'd eat them. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't. I only have a few things that I have because they look nice. Everything else is edible.
Right. I just didn't know because their nickname is fartichokes. So
yeah, and they got nice sunflowers on them. But here, boy, they don't really pop those sunflowers out till right at the end of fall.
I know. Yeah.
Really late.
And they're like flowers. They're not huge like regular sunflowers. They're small. They're decent size, but yeah, they're pretty though.
Yeah, but they did. I know. I remember last year I actually asked Jordy. I'm like, they haven't put off any flowers yet. He goes, "Oh, they will." And it wasn't 3 days after he said that, boom, the flowers popped on them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty wild. I mean, I had them kind of in a contained area, but they still got out when I had them at the other house.
Yeah, I actually have them in a raised bed, and there's no containing them. They're going to pop out for sure. Those things just spread the entire bed. They've taken over the entire bed already. So,
yeah, I think that's why I think they're such a great permaculture, especially if you're going to use them to eat or feed. They're great for that. A lot of people use them for like pigs.
I think really the only way to contain them is to put them in the middle of a grassy area and mow all the way around them.
Yep, probably.
I think that's probably the only way to really contain them.
I think there's a few things like that. I think about, now it's leaving my head. Well, never mind. The thorny tree. You'll know it.
Yeah. Gumi or whatever. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about the sea buck thorns that you have?
Locust, because I think that's the only way you can contain those too, is if you can mow all the way around them.
It seems like most of the stuff I have here is thorny and doesn't want me
to eat it. The sea buck thorn has thorns on it. That's why it's called sea buck thorn.
I know, it's got some nasty ones. My gojis have some horrible thorns on them. They will slice you up. Oh, those things are horrible.
So, funny story. I just had one of those moments when once in a while, you have these moments when you're a homesteader or gardener that you don't think clearly and you do something dumb. So we were down we went for a walk to check on all the plants and look for mushrooms, which we found some morels yesterday.
Awesome.
And I reached down to touch this plant and said, "Oh, good, it grew." And right when I touched it, I thought, why did I do that?
Gooseberry?
No, it was stinging nettles.
Oh, yeah, they'll get you too.
Yeah, and I was like, why did I do that? That was really dumb. So yeah,
I already have like some berries on my gooseberry plant. So I reached down yesterday and I'm looking at them and I grabbed the stem, not even thinking, just to pick it up to look at the berries. And the thorns on those are pretty hefty. And I mean, they embedded in me pretty good.
Right. And it's not like we didn't know. We knew. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah. We all do that. We just get thinking and not thinking rather, and just grab stuff. And
I got excited because it was in a spot that it didn't like and it wasn't thriving. And I actually want stinging nettles. I know people hate them and people try to get rid of them, but I want them. And so I moved it to a spot where it wasn't, and I wasn't sure how well it would do because I moved it not at the greatest time. And so it had come back and I was all excited about it. And I apparently forgot that I shouldn't be rubbing it on my arm.
I don't grow any on the property because there's a state nature reserve. It's really close to the house here, and they have fields of them there. I mean, I can literally go out there anytime I want and just get all I want because there's.
If I could find fields close by, I would do that, but I have not found any source wildly, so I want to grow it. It's just such a great plant for medicinal uses, for feed, for. I mean, there's people that make compost tea out of it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's good stuff. Well, it sounds like we are kicking off spring with a lot of busyness and a lot going on. And it's also a really good time to not be in your house doing things because it's so nice outside. And we want to be outside for everything, even cooking.
Exactly.
So that's what we're going to talk about. And you're starting off with a new homestead. I mean, you're designing your homestead still, and you're kind of laying things out and you're building things. And so I'm sure outdoor kitchens have been really on your mind for this new place.
Oh, yeah. It's been high on our priority. Well, I don't know if it's high on the priority list, but it's high on our want list for sure. Because we just don't want to be inside.
Yeah.
I'd rather be outside.
And the thing about outdoor cooking spaces, kitchens, is it can vary from a very DIY, throw some things together, functional outdoor space to do that, up to like $100,000 kitchens. I mean, you can there's a range on that that's just amazing.
I'm
definitely
not
on the lower end around here.
I'm not going to be doing that. I think they're gorgeous. Everybody can go on Pinterest and look them up. They got granite counters and they can be really elaborate and I think they're pretty, but that is not that's not gonna work for us.
I even went on Amazon. Like I found some links on Amazon of just like outdoor kitchens, like kits. They're like $8,000, $10,000, $12,000.
Wow.
It's all stainless steel outdoor stuff like refrigerator and stoves and countertops, and it's all real pretty. It's real nice.
Right.
But that's even on Amazon. You got that kind of stuff. So it's pretty. I'll throw a link in just for folks to look at.
Don't they?
Yeah, you can buy anything on Amazon. They had the pizza ovens, but it was all in like stainless, which was kind of cool and it lasts a long time. But it's like, man, just an amazing amount of money. It just makes it easy. But again, we'll talk about that. Why might consider buying some things versus building other things. But yeah, I mean, first let's just talk about like I think a lot of them are obvious, but the benefits of an outdoor kitchen. And
to be fair, let's just say we don't live in Arizona where it's 125 degrees. So I might not want an outdoor kitchen if I lived in Arizona and it was 125 degrees, at least not in the middle of the summer.
Right.
Maybe they do it in the winter though. They probably use theirs all winter. But that is why I like it. I spend money to get my house cool and I don't want to heat the house back up. So I found ways to cook outside because it's nice to keep the heat outside.
Probably the number one reason I do it too is just because I'm cooking and stuff in summertime, and especially I don't like air conditioning. I mean, I run them when it gets really hot, but the less I have to run an air conditioner in a house, the happier I am. I don't really like air conditioning, but when it gets a certain temperature, you just I feel like I almost have to. So, I mean, I'll do without it. I grew up without air conditioning, never had it. And once I finally got it as an adult, it was like, okay, we ran it a lot. Now I just don't like it. It just stuffs up your head and just, especially if you're going in and out a lot, when you're going back and forth outside the inside air conditioning, it really messes you up. So I just do not run them if I don't have to. But when you're cooking inside on a hot day, you almost have to because it's just really unbearable. So if I can cook outside and not run the air conditioning in the house, that's a plus. So I like doing it for that reason. So
and it's saving your electric bill to not have to do all that, which those have turned into really big deals for a lot of people. I mean, I think some of it's come down a little bit, but I mean, I know people facing $300, $400, $500 electric bills. So the last thing you want to do is add to that by cooking inside. So that's one.
I like the idea of just keeping the mess outside too, of food scraps and the compost. You can just throw them to the compost really fast. And the water, save water too, because I'd run the hose off. I got an outdoor sink and I got the hose running straight to like garden beds, and I was running the water, whatever water I'm running through, just run out and water the gardens. And if I'm going to use soap or something that I don't want there, I can just drop it into a bucket.
Right, exactly. And that's, I mean, for years we were dragging all of the vegetables into the house with all the dirt on them and washing them off. And then we were like, why are we doing this? It's just so much easier to wash it off outside.
Washing away your garden down the sink.
Yeah, well, and into our septic system, so that's probably not good either.
Right.
Yeah, and it just keeps all of that mess outside because, you know, you're tracking dirt inside and everything. So yeah, those are my reasons. And the other thing is I started canning outside. The humidity that canning causes with just boiling all of that stuff, it's just, I live in a humid state now. Like I said, if you live in Arizona where it's arid, you might appreciate some of that humidity, but I live where in the summer it's really humid, and I don't want it 80% humidity in my house.
Yeah, whether you're water bath canning or pressure canning, and all that steam blowing out of the top of them pressure canners, and it's just hot steam blowing through your house. It's especially in the fall, generally when you're doing that and it's really hot outside, and you don't want that in your house. Yeah,
well, and usually,
I've always put the pressure canner out on the deck and just run it out there because I just don't want to even have it in the house. Yeah.
And usually if it's, if you're canning amounts of things. So you're doing this a lot. And usually, when I can, I'll usually do it for several days in a row. So just all that humidity in the house. I don't want it. I don't want to, ruin cats and cause mold issues and all that junk.
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are kind of some of our reasons.
Yeah, I think, it's just being self-sufficient too. Just having that area, just cooking your homegrown food outside, and just it just kind of doing your meal prep outside and stuff. It's nice to have the space. It's nice to have just an open area, not feel crowded up in a kitchen, just the food preservation in general, just doing it all outside. It's just nice to have that space out there and do it all. I don't have a big kitchen. Our kitchen is more like almost like I wouldn't call it a galley kitchen. It's a little bit bigger than that, but it's pretty narrow. Okay. It's not a real big kitchen. So we don't have a lot of counter space in our kitchen. So it's really nice to just kind of move some of that outside and just have the messes out there and stuff too. I just love the idea of just dragging the hose around and washing everything off too when I'm done. That's so much easier.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I had written down was like, because for me, it's always about cleaning because that's my life. But I was like, man, just being able to just hose things off instead of having to be careful how you clean it off, that would be just amazing. But for the same thing here. So I'm going from a very large kitchen to a very small kitchen. And I think I'm going to appreciate expanding to the outdoor world more.
Yeah. It really opens up a space too, just having people over to do things with you too. If you got family over, you have, just like a cookout, like a family cookout time, but it's just anything, it's good for just having gatherings or preserving parties. Like some people get together with several people and do preserving, just holidays and things like that, gathering outside. But also maybe you want to take your homestead to a teaching level too. It's a great space for, like, if you want to teach cooking or canning or things like that and have that extra space for people to gather around outside. I think
that's nice. I love that idea. When I have taught, I've never actually taught inside of I did teach canning at the Indiana Homestead Conference. I taught inside of a building, and that was actually the first time I had taught inside of a building. Usually it's typically like, I'm under shade, basically in a 2-sided shed or something like that. And bunch of people have brought chairs in and, it just works really well because it's a big space to do things and you don't feel like you're crowding each other out. I think a lot of times people don't want to help in a kitchen because it feels like you're bumping elbows and hitting shoulders and it feels tight. But outside, I feel like it might encourage more people to participate.
Yeah, sure. I also just like it for the preparedness aspects of it too. I mean, you got your kitchen inside, but if the power's ever down, grid's ever down, you got, propane or whatever outside, you got a place you can cook, and do the things you need to do. It's just really nice if the grid's down, power's out. Yeah. You still can get out there and cook a meal or.
Yeah, all right, I guess we'll go outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that too. It's really good for preparedness because a lot of this stuff that you can get for outside can be propane.
Yep. Even refrigerators, they even have like propane refrigerators and stuff, and all of it run on propane. Yeah.
Yeah, so you could do that. Obviously there's some more primitive techniques where people are using some wood and stuff too, but even inside of a city dwelling, you can use propane.
Yeah. I guess you mentioned different kinds of setups, like with wood and such. Let's talk about like the planning and designing of it. Location and layout. There's some things are just preference, what you like, but also it's just good idea. There's just some basic things like just the proximity to your house and your garden to be able to get things and go in and out. Because even if you're doing this stuff outside, you're still going to be going in and out of your house to get things, that you want out there. So it's just nice having it close, and having a roof is really nice. You can build an outdoor kitchen without a roof, but it's nice to have a roof over top of your head, some kind of a gazebo or just a porch overhang or something. It's nice to have that.
Yeah, I mean, a temporary setup, which is what we always did at the other house, was we actually just had a pop-up. What do you call those? A tent with no walls. Yeah, we always had pop-up canopy that we would use. So it was a temporary setup because we didn't leave it up all winter, but a lot of the summer we had that up. So I mean, if you lived somewhere where you rented or something and you couldn't actually build something, that's an idea.
Yeah. We put up like we have a deck, and for a few years I'd buy those cheap canvas gazebos, and they just never hold up. A couple winters and things are just drying out and ripping in the wind. They just never last. And I finally spent the money and we bought a steel one. It's all steel. And that thing probably here in the house is gone. That thing is just solid as can be. And that's been a really nice investment. And it just makes a really nice roof over our deck.
That's what I have dreams of doing here.
Yeah, if it's raining or windy or whatever, we don't have to worry about anything that's under that. So that's nice.
I think another thing to think about too is proximity to maybe some water. I mean, getting your hose there if you can't have water close by, and possibly some power would be nice. Yeah. So being able to get those there.
Yeah, and as a permaculture person, we just think about zones. We think about like, is this a place you're going to be going to often? So for most people, I think it's going to be basically right outside your back door or something like that, where you're going to have this area, and that's nice. But if it can't be there, you still want it to be a place maybe you're walking through pretty regularly and it's easy access.
Yeah, definitely.
So
you want it to be like, I mean, ideally, it's if it can't be close to your house, ideally, I would think you would maybe want it closer to your gardens, somewhere where you're, like you said, somewhere you're at often, either your zone 0 to 2, probably.
Yeah.
I think once people put these in, they're going to use them more than they think. So
let's talk about what kind of things do you want in your outdoor kitchen and cooking area?
Well, one of the things that I would really, really like is a pizza oven.
Yeah.
I want a more primitive one. We want to make one out of clay, and we have found a video that we really like. Of course, Townsend's, I've mentioned them several times. They have a big YouTube channel, but they make one. We might copy that, but I have seen ones that are just propane. They're not crazy expensive, that you can buy too, that are probably stainless steel. I've seen people use those too, so you don't have to go quite as primitive, but we definitely want some kind of an oven to bake.
Have you seen like the foam template things that you can basically set them? You make your foundation and you put you can buy them, and they're it's like a foam thing you set in there, and then you can lay your bricks around that, and it helps you form it. And
that sounds cool.
Templates. Yeah, I'll try to look it up and put a link in the show notes for those, because they're pretty cool. I've looked at them. I almost got one time because I was thinking about building one. I'm glad I didn't, because now I've kind of changed where I have everything. But I still might at some point. And they make these little nice kits that it's just, like I said, a template, like a foam template, and basically you can just stack your bricks and then put your stuff.
I love that. That's cool.
It holds it gets the shape right for you, so you don't have to try to
Oh yeah, the shape, I can imagine being hard. I mean, of course they make it look easy on the video, but it was probably their 15th try or something.
I can't remember. I seen another homesteader demonstrate using this when they built theirs and on YouTube one time, and it looked really convenient. I was like, that's probably the way to go.
Yeah, I just think it would be really fun. The oven is one of the things that heats up our house in the summer. So some kind of oven outside. There's multiple ones. I mean, they make them for camping even, that are just, you hook them up to just those little tiny propane tanks. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, I love all the more primitive stuff. I'm kind of weird like that, but I think an oven would be nice if you're out there. Summer is a great time to make lots of pizza and put your fresh veggies on it.
We bought, actually not that long ago, we bought one of the two 2 burner outdoor cook stove. They do pretty good flames, and you can run like they're great for canning. I've like set water bath canners on and stuff. It's pretty heavy duty. It's a big one. I think we picked it up for like $30 off of Facebook Marketplace. You know, it was like a really
that's what I was going to say, man. Peru's Marketplace, because I want that. And the other thing I really want is I was thinking about gas burners, because I just love canning outside, and those work great. You have to watch the BTUs so you don't ruin your canner, and you don't want it to be too hot, but you can get diffusers for them, or you can spend the money and make sure you're getting one that's not too high BTUs. And your canner, if you go to the website, your canner should have on the website how high the BTUs can be for your canner.
Yeah.
But
you're right. You can crank them up and ruin them. Yeah.
You can warp them. Yeah. And then it will turn. And then if you warp it, it's going to mess up your pressure gauge and all that junk. But the other thing I like is Blackstones. I don't want a huge one, but I would like one. Yeah.
Yeah. I like them for some things that like horrible for cooking steaks on. Horrible.
No, I wouldn't want. I was thinking like breakfasts or like vegetables, stir fries.
There's some things they are so good for. Like I love cooking like pancakes or something, or even bacon sausage or things like the eggs. Do eggs really good? Things like that. They do excellent. But we've tried cooking like a steak on them, and they don't get hot enough. You know, you want to.
Yeah, I would think that it wouldn't be as good as like a grill. Because I still want a grill too in there. I mean, we have a grill.
I kind of thought it might work just because, you know, we cook. I'll do like we'll cook, you know, a pan fried steak, you know, but you're getting a really hot flame under that when you do that. But this doesn't do that. It doesn't do a good enough job for that. So, but they're really good for some stuff for sure. A little tricky to clean though. The cleaning, you got to be really, you got to prep them after you get done using them really good. It's just like leaving a cast iron skillet outside. That's good to know. Yeah, it's kind of like leaving you can't leave a cast iron skillet sitting outside. You'll rust, and you get, you know, you got to be really careful with them and season them really good and take care of them.
I wondered. I thought they were similar to cast iron because it's just steel, right?
They are. Yeah, it's cast iron. That's what it is. Yeah, and so they are basically that. So they're a little trickier, a little more maintenance involved in them.
Yeah, and I like the idea of possibly a rocket stove if I don't end up using gas burners. But a gas burner is just the easy button. It's probably where I'll go before I do any, before I do like a rocket stove. But I have seen something similar to a rocket stove for boiling maple syrup outside. Usually people use really large pans for doing maple syrup. It really doesn't work great over a stovetop. They're usually long, really big pans that are kind of shallow, but need big flames underneath them. So, and we plan on doing lots of maple syrup here. So
honestly, just having a gas grill is probably the simplest and quickest way to have an outdoor cooking area. Just regular normal propane gas grill, and you can do a lot of cooking on those.
And a lot of them have mine has a side burner.
Yep, the burners on the side. Yeah.
And the other thing I thought about, which is nice obviously to have, is some counter space, and that can be as simple as a folding table or a 2x4 table that you build. I mean, it doesn't have to be granite and stone. It can.
You got to consider it's going to get rained on. It needs to be able to withstand the elements. You know, so if you can get something that can do that, that's nice. And you're right. You need that space especially if you're what I generally use that space for a lot of time is just prepping, like getting stuff out of the garden, cleaning stuff off, getting things prepped before I even take it to the kitchen, getting the mess outside, you know? And you need a lot of counter space for that because you just got stuff piled up, you know, on the counter and you're chopping and doing stuff, and you just need a lot of space for that. So having a lot of counter space is definitely important.
Yeah. And then you and I both were talking about how we both picked up old sinks.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be hooked up. I mean, you can rig it or not even hook it up to any plumbing and just use the hose. But it's super handy to have. I got an old 2-holer that, I don't know, it's probably from the 50s, that has the dish pan drainers on it. So the metal goes out. It's probably 6 or 8 feet long. Yeah. And we have plans to put, rig something up to that so that we can get it up off the ground. But
I have some old pictures. I think I posted years ago, the one I built. And I had an old sink out of a camper, and I made a wood counter and I sunk it in it and hooked the hose up to it. And I had a nice little, of course, you know me, I always have to get a little bit fancy. So I took an old, the old campfire coffee cans. I had
Yes.
I had took one of those and mounted that as a sink, and then I ran a copper line up through it and tilted out the pour spout on it and made that my faucet and had a hookup on the bottom. So
Perfect.
I made my own faucet out of an old campfire coffee can.
Yeah, I mean, and I've seen, if you can't hook it up to water or whatever, I've seen people use like those 5-gallon jugs, and some of those 5-gallon jugs you can hook up a faucet to that's literally like battery operated. But so speaking of getting fancy, one of the things I'm considering is getting a tankless water heater.
Yeah,
so hot water out there, because that cuts my canning time down to use the hot water and
you can get those
wash
in gas,
things up.
propane as well. Yeah, and have a propane water heater. Yeah.
So I've thought about that because I've seen people actually hook those up onto like almost like a dolly looking thing, like a homemade dolly, and roll it in and out.
Or if you want to get really, really eco-friendly and crazy, you could do the whole copper spool thing on top of your roof and have that create the hot water for you and really get all creative.
Maybe we will. Maybe we will. We actually, my husband was thinking about doing that with our wood stove at our old house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we end up having anything, that's another thing I would probably have out there is just a fire. Just to enjoy it, sit around the campfire.
Yeah, well, and it's useful too. I mean, you can cook on that. I mean, absolutely do a lot of your cooking right on a fire and enjoy that, and just have the enjoyment of having a fire too. I mean, there's nothing like sitting out on your back porch and having a nice campfire to watch. That's kind of nice.
While you're cooking your food,
while you're cooking your dinner, yeah, that's nice.
Reading a good book, man. I think I might need to go outside.
I had a fire in mine last night. We have a fire pit out in our backyard. I was sitting out there last night, which brings me to another thing, which we can talk about later, but the mosquitoes were getting pretty bad out there last night. That's why I ended up coming in. But we'll talk about that later when we start getting into maybe some of the challenges of outdoor cooking and stuff. So, but anyway,
so the other thing I thought about was a smoker. You put in there a smoker, which smoked anything. I just love smoked. It can be meat, it can be vegetables.
Yeah, I would like to have a big homemade one. Now I have one that I think my kids got me one years ago. One of the littler ones, you just put the chips in and smoke stuff, and it's pretty good. I do the quail in there and rabbit and things like that, and smoke them.
That sounds good.
But it's smaller. It has.
Ours isn't big either. Ours is
like a little small mini fridge or something. It's about that size.
Yep, that's what ours is. I'd like to have something bigger too. Yep. The other thing I'm probably going to put out there is my dehydrators. Or I bought speaking of marketplace, somebody was selling 2 of the huge like hoops that you can hang from the ceiling. And like solar dry.
Yeah, I'll get some of those. Yeah,
I would probably. I'm going to be using those and hanging those from whatever and trying to keep them dry.
I hang those in my greenhouse, inside the greenhouse, right from the middle.
Oh, I bet you that works good.
That way they're out of the rain. They don't get more moisture, and that sun's beating in there really helps dry them up fast. Yeah. So
anything that I would do inside that would heat up the house, I kind of want to drag outside to do, basically.
Yeah. Definitely. Yep. How about having a place for like to keep pans and silverware and things like that outside? You thought about that? I mean,
I have, and I don't know. Like long term, I don't know if we'll do something fancier, but right now, I don't know if you've ever seen these totes. They have totes that if you flip the lid over, there's like this foam seal that it has, and they lock down and they're watertight. Those are kind of nice. We use those a lot with camping. It keeps like all the moisture out and stuff. So like if you're using anything cast iron or metal, it'll keep all that moisture from getting, rusting everything. Plus it just keeps all the rain out. And mice. I swear mice can get into anything, but they cannot get into those.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because like stuff you'd buy, I mean, that is like the commercial stuff. I mean, of course, it's all stainless steel, all watertight. They've got all the areas for this.
Well, yeah, I like that. You're gonna give me more? Give me some, Harold.
But yeah, they're like I said, I was looking at stuff and it was like, I mean, starting price on some of that stuff's like $8,000. I mean, it's pretty out there. It's pretty
Would I
crazy.
like it? Yeah.
It's nice, but the alternative is like you said, get some nice heavy duty totes or something that and keep them under stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thoughts. I mean, any kind of cabinetry outside is just going to get it's not going to last unless you're doing stainless. That's so expensive.
You'd have to build something that's going to hold up in the elements for sure. Metal, definitely metal or something. Plastic even too. I mean, plastic will work for that. It's maybe not ideal for
and maybe people will be able to find marketplace stuff and they can repurpose it. I'm thinking like some garage cabinets or tool cabinets are metal. Those might be able to be repurposed.
Maybe, yeah. You could probably find something that would be watertight's the bigger challenge. Stuff is made for inside of a garage or whatever. So you definitely got to find something to be watertight. But yeah, I mean, you could definitely think outside the box there. Maybe come up with some ideas on something like it, or just have the big equipment outside and just transport. If it's right outside your back door and your pans are right inside the inside of the door of the kitchen, just walk things back and forth, and that's fine too. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I mean, if you can find salvaged materials, off Marketplace or Craigslist, or just build stuff yourself from wood and then just somehow water seal it. I mean, that's okay.
I mean, once in a while I see stuff from.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Once in a while I see things from like restaurants and stuff on sale. Like they'll sell some stainless counters, and I see a lot of those. Maybe not so much the cabinets, but definitely you see it once in a while.
Yeah, and there's definitely things you can stuff you can purchase to seal them, waterproof wood and stuff. You can definitely paint it on and basically waterproof your stuff as well. So
I have seen and I want to try is like the concrete countertops. Making your own, like a DIY countertop and then sealing it, which I know you can do because my husband did concrete for a little bit. Those would be kind of interesting. It's definitely a little bit more involved than a folding table. But
you can definitely do tile work too. I mean, stuff that you would use in like a shower or something like that. It's gonna be waterproof. You're gonna grout it, and tile it in, and you could definitely use that outside to make things waterproof.
Yeah, I think you could get creative and do it. I mean, down at the equator, they have a lot of outdoor living spaces, and not all of them are extremely expensive in stainless steel. So maybe do some searching DIY stuff down that area, and you might find some stuff.
And different parts of the country, things are going to do better outside than other parts of the country. I mean, if you're up in the Pacific Northwest where it's just wet all the time, it's wood ain't going to work outside. Things are going to rot pretty fast, and there's just certain locations where some things work better than others, and you just have to kind of go with the flow of your area pretty much and see what would last and hold up. There's where some commercial things that are built for that would be nice. If you can afford it, it's going to be built to hold up and withstand the elements a little bit. But definitely kits could be convenient when it comes to that. It's just that it's expensive. It's definitely expensive.
And you might be able to do like something that it's an investment and a slow purchase. So you buy one piece and slowly add on stuff over a few years. That might be a way to do it if you want something a little nicer.
Yeah. How important is it to you? I mean, is it just gonna be strictly low budget and it's not that important to you? Or I mean, if it's something that's going to be a major part of your life for decades and you're planning on using this thing, multiple times a week, and it's just gonna, especially if it's in a place where maybe your winters are more mild and you can use it year round, it might be worth investing a significant amount of money into as far as just the property value when you consider.
I was just going to say, granted, some of these might increase your property value depending on where you're at. And so
it's just up to you. I guess it's up to the person. How important is it to you? What's the priority level? Do you want a luxury setup or do you want a pretty low budget? For me, it's kind of low budget to mid range on some things.
That's probably where I'm at too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I want
it to look nice. I want it to look nice, but I don't want to invest thousands.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as I get older, it seems like the way things look get more important to me. I mean, I want things to really blend in and look nice. And I don't know why, but it does seem to matter to me more.
The other thing I thought about was it might not, I mean, people might be interested in attaching or having a really small shed right there by it, to store the things in. True. It just depends on what you're doing and what your setup is. I mean, if you're canning, that was my husband, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, what was that?
If you're canning tons and tons of stuff, then you might want to have it not outside. I mean, you might want to not be bringing all your stuff in and out all of the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely some things to consider on challenges too. I mean, you could mess up and just, put this in an area where you have absolutely no kind of shade or roof over you, or, and you're just going to burn up out there. Because on a hot summer day, being outside in the sun would be more miserable than being in your kitchen.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So you need that, you want to make sure it's an area where water is not going to like stand or anything like that outside. That's going to be an issue.
Speaking of more miserable, you mentioned the mosquitoes.
Yeah, you want to think about the bugs. We have a bug light. It does some. I mean, it's always snapping, but if you've got standing water, say you have a pond or something nearby, you might have more mosquito issue. This where it might be really good to bring in some permaculture principles and try to really invite things that are going to eat a lot of bugs. Bring in bat houses and bird houses and have a lot of amphibian housing and things like that can really invite things that'll maybe take care of some of the bugs.
Moving air. Yeah, we have bug light. We also have we plan on having some kind of like a ceiling fan. We're gonna build one with a permanent structure, so we'll probably end up with a ceiling fan out there to move, because the bugs do not like, especially mosquitoes, do not like if there's too much air. But the other thing you could do is, if it's a pop-up, you could get one with sides that has screen in it.
Yeah, you can plant some things too that would deter, like citronella and things like that. You can have some things like that might help deter some critters like that away from you and keep them.
I really like the bat house idea. I love the bat house idea, and I want to get a bunch of bat houses.
There's definitely some things you can do to try to mitigate that a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, bird and bat houses, and like you said, with the we do have standing water here. We have quite a few ponds, so it's definitely an issue.
And it's something people may not think about in an outdoor kitchen, but you're not just cooking outside, you're probably going to eat outside too. So you want plenty of seating.
True.
You want want a table, you want some chairs, you want some places to sit around, have plenty of room for plenty of people to gather. Have plenty of lighting too. Solar lights are a good way to go on that, especially if you do like the motion solar lights that go dim and bright. And those are pretty nice when you're out there moving and you're not using up your electricity. And also in a grid down situation, those are still going to work, so.
Right, exactly.
We have solar lights all across the front of our, I got these really higher end solar lights on our front porch, and those things are bright, really bright all night long. I mean, they really hold up well. I don't know what kind of battery pack those things got in them, but they do well. And they're motion too. So they'll go from dim to really bright if they pick up on the motion, but they hold up really good. I've seen some that don't hold up so well, like halfway through the night, they'll go dead, but not those things. So I think on the higher end, on the solar lighting, you can get some really high quality solar lighting.
We have those ones where you stab them in the ground. We've never haven't done a lot of solar lighting. We did some other solar stuff, but they were not the most expensive, but they actually worked pretty well. We were kind of surprised how well they worked. And those are nice because you can take like a can and you can stick them in the can and put them on the table too and bring light to the table. But
there you go.
They weren't dollar store ones, but they certainly weren't super expensive ones. And they worked fair. They worked well enough for us, but yours sound a lot nicer.
Yeah, they were, like I said, a little higher end. They're big lamps. They have a big bulb in them. They're LED, but they got a big bulb in them. But they are really bright. They are really bright. And but things like that would probably work really well. Also, I think just having things around you can use, having an herb garden really close might be a good idea.
Yeah, I love that.
Might be a guys will add on for later. Don't keep things so far away where you don't want to go get stuff. Have things close enough where you want to reach over and grab some herbs, or go out and grab a tomato from the plant. Keep things reasonably close to your outdoor kitchen. So I think that could be
maybe
a mistake.
Some planting for those mosquito bites.
Yeah, there you go. Have some aloe for some sunburn and some
Right,
plantain for the mosquito bites and all the things. Have all that stuff close. Yeah.
Yeah, seating, maybe a space for some hammocks. I don't know. We love laying around in hammocks, but I mean, this was supposed to be the kitchen. Woo! This was supposed to be the kitchen, not the outside podcast. But as you can tell, Harold and I love living outside. Like housing, for us, housing is sleeping, and otherwise we're outside.
Yeah, I like to. Yeah, I will come in, do what I have to do inside, and then I want to go right back out. I mean, this time of the year, wintertime, I don't want nothing to do with outside. I want to sit in the house and read books.
Right.
I don't want to be outside at all. But which brings me to like a seasonal use. Of course, depending on where you live, I mean, you're adapting this thing for spring, summer, and fall, right? To be able to use in those seasons. But how do you winterize it? What are you going to do? You got to have a plan for that too, because this is, being able to set that up, cover things, have some covers for things, make sure you're able to drain anything that, you don't want that's holding kind of liquid or water. You don't want anything that's going to get nests in it during the wintertime, like mice and squirrels and all kinds of things get up under it and build nests in things. I mean, that's a problem. It really is. I mean, we have stuff at our campground and they'll get up in your refrigerator. We have a refrigerator we keep in a shed out there. They'll nest up in everything. Yeah, they'll just get stuff everywhere. You'll find
they can get in it. I mean, you think that you're not. Yeah, they can get in it. We have mice and
squirrels will get in places you don't think a squirrel can get into. It's kind of
crazy. I mean, I think everybody's seen the story where they like open something, especially like a camper or a trunk or the car, and there's like all of the acorns that the squirrels brought in. Yeah, yes, we've had that experience.
That's part of the winterizing. I mean, you definitely got to, because they're looking for a place to store their stuff and be warm and everything else. So. And it's waterproof. And if you're building this waterproof stuff, they're going to get up under it, where they're dry. So they're going to try to get up under there. So have that's kind of part of winterizing, getting it to where it's something that's going to endure the winters, depending on where you are.
Yeah. The other thing I just thought of, we didn't even have notes on this, but I thought of like some safety things. In our kitchen, we always have a fire extinguisher. So it might not be a bad idea to have, a fire extinguisher rated for whatever it is that you're doing out there. So it might not be a bad idea for that. And obviously, if you're going to be using propane in large amounts, depending on if everything out there is hooked up for propane, you just want to make sure that that's safely stored and all of those things. So
might even get you like a detector or something just to gas detector or something like that out there. I mean, especially if you're in an enclosed area, like maybe you're outdoors, but maybe you have like an enclosed porch or something. It might just be a good idea to, know that there's no kind of gas smells. Generally, you'll smell propane. They put the stuff in there and make it smell.
We've had a few flames when it came to grills and such. So
you can get radical. Yeah, and if you're doing like charcoal or wood, common sense goes a long way as far as like using lighter fluid and things like that. I've seen some major craziness happen. Hence my wife lost her eyebrows one time for
I've seen people like melt the siding off of their house and stuff with that.
So just be careful with that stuff.
Having a fire extinguisher isn't always a bad idea. It's like one of those, to me, it's one of those being prepared things to
I always just kind of hand over my face every time I see a YouTube video or a Facebook video or something of somebody like throwing gasoline or kerosene on something they're getting ready to throw a match on. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to be bad. And then you'll see this big fireball shoot out, or a boom knocks them backwards or something. It's like, wow. Yeah. Common sense go a long way when you're messing with that kind of stuff. Be careful. So it's a fun. But
for sure.
I think that, that's, again, there's a lot of this stuff that's DIY that you can find some great videos on. Just as far as building things, maybe you want to build your own kind of rocket stove, or maybe you want to, like I said, the stuff on building a pizza oven. There's a lot of outdoor videos on stuff like that.
I'm gonna find those links and put them in there. It's definitely a primitive way, but it's I don't know. I think some of that stuff's super fun. So yeah,
it is. And it's a good use of space if you're going to use it. I value my space. I have a small homestead. I value my space, for growing things. But it's important enough to me to designate an area just for that. I want an area to work, to clean veggies and cook some stuff and enjoy the space. And I'm actually expanding that area a little bit with what I've been doing here lately. Actually, it came off the deck area and I made about another 10-foot by 18-foot area that's going to be a seating area and where I would actually like to put a pizza oven now, because I was told you I almost put one in before and I'm glad I didn't, because now I've kind of expanded that area and I've got a better place for it now. So yeah, I'm actually been, this wasn't even on, this was your idea of a podcast, but it is something I've been thinking about even myself, just expanding that area and kind of making it better and a more enjoyable space. I think maybe if you build a space like this, maybe your kids will come visit you more. See, now that I have kids and grandkids that don't live close to home, maybe I can entice them to come over and hang out more if we got a nice space for us to do outdoor things like this. I don't know.
One of the things that I want to do, but I don't know if it will work this way, speaking of permaculture zones, is I really want to have my root cellar close to the outdoor kitchen, because if I'm canning out there, it just makes sense to be able to take it without a lot of work to get it into the root cellar. But we will see, because we're still trying to figure out where to put a compost pile, because we don't have flat here. Nothing is flat. So
I tell you, it's kind of weird, but one of the things that I think about even having this outdoor space is I want to do a lot of things that burn wood, like having a wood fire pit and having maybe a wood fired pizza oven and all these things that wood. Because what I find is, even with my little chipper shredder and everything, and with all the pruning I do, I got some pretty nice pieces of wood that I still need to get rid of. They're too big to throw in a compost. They're maybe even too big to feed through a chipper shredder. So have a way to burn them. Just have a place where you can just use them. I mean, you could obviously just build a brush pile to burn it, but if you want to make it useful, have something useful, be able to use that wood in a place where, like I think we talked about in the last podcast, I took down an apple tree, and you mentioned you're going to use that to do some smoking or anything with, and you can use that, and you build a smoker and you got your apple chips and, apple wood, and you do some smoking with that, and use this stuff in the best way you can. I mean, I wouldn't say it's wasteful to have a nice big bonfire or whatever and just enjoy the space, but how much more useful is it to use it for stuff like that? If you have the wood. And I'm all the time pruning the apple trees and pruning the pear trees and pruning just all the trees. I mean, there's so many trees around here, and there's so much. I have found it to be one of the bigger challenges on a small homestead like mine, is getting rid of all that.
That's what I was just telling you. I don't think we were having problems getting rid of leaves.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that in the beginning of the podcast. So we've been taking them places. And that is one of the challenges on a smaller homestead, is that closing that loop when you don't have a lot of air space.
Yeah, you want to use that stuff the best way you can. Yeah, I want to compost it all. I want to shred it all. I want to do all the things, but it takes some pretty big equipment to shred that much stuff conveniently.
Right.
And
that's expensive.
Yeah. And burning it's better, but you don't want to just waste burn it. You want to use that fire. You want to use that energy to do something more constructive with, like cooking or something, So
you're gonna learn to perfect the outdoor pizza.
Well, my wife's already a pretty good pizza maker. She does that at the campground all the time. So she at the campground, they have a pizza oven out there at the actual place, and she'll go up there and help them make pizzas and stuff. And she's pretty good at that. She makes a pretty good pizza. So
put a little fresh tomato and basil on there. Ooh, yummy.
Yeah, all the stuff we're growing here, onion, all the nice stuff. Yeah, put all the good stuff on it. She don't like mushrooms, but I like mushrooms, so I like the mushrooms too. So
well, your half can have mushrooms.
Yeah, you have to half and half them. You have to make it kind of separate, but yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to expanding our outdoor kitchen area as well. Even though it's, like I said, this podcast was something definitely more on your mind because you guys are designing it and thinking about it. But it is something I'm working on as well. I'm not going to be putting any of these kits in that cost $10,000.
No, me either.
But I love the idea of it, but won't be happening.
Yeah, and I think you could scale this up or down. Like I'm considering, a larger one just because I have the space and I'm going to be canning in it. But I'm thinking, a balcony, that if you live in an apartment and you have a balcony, you could still have a couple of these things. The one pizza oven I know somebody that has one of those little pizza ovens, and theirs is propane, and it is not big. And you could, you combine that together with a grill that has a little burner, and you've got yourself a nice little outdoor kitchen right there.
Yeah. And as far as, I don't think we were talking about like refrigeration, you can get outdoor refrigerators, or you can, like we do at our campground, our camper refrigerator isn't very big, but we wanted a full-size a refrigerator out there because, grandkids, and we just have a lot of stuff out there we keep out there, right? So I took a full-size refrigerator and built a little shed, and we put it inside the shed.
Right.
So,
see, yeah,
so
that kind of
you
stuff.
can do stuff like that, and you don't have to buy the more expensive outdoor refrigerator, but you can still waterproof it with a shed, or something. So.
Yeah, and you can get a lot of those. I mean, you can find refrigerators on Marketplace, or you can get a decent sized one. We actually bought an apartment refrigerator, so it's not like a college one that's only, I don't know how tall those are, 2-3 feet. This is actually about my height, so maybe about 5 foot tall. Yeah. And 4 feet, no, not 4 feet wide. It's probably 2 feet wide, so it's not huge.
Probably like the size they would put in in an apartment or like in a camper or something, like a lot of campers would have.
It's decent size. It's probably about the size of our camper one. I mean, we bought it for $100 brand new.
Yeah, you can find them reasonable, and you can get them for almost nothing on Marketplace or something. If you find one, people just give them away sometimes. We got ours for free. I mean, the one we have out the campground, we got it for free, and it works great. It's just an older one, and which is perfect too. Putting it in a shed, it's not very stylish because it's old, but you stick it in the shed, nobody really sees it, and it functions well, so it's fine,
Yeah, so stuff like, I mean, there's just lots of ways to do it. It's kind of nice, and if I
see something you put on here we forgot to even mention, it's having outdoor power outlets too. You want some power outlets out there, your plugins and things. You want to, might have to do some wiring out there to get all that stuff, but you want that as well.
Or if you have an extension cord, there's ways to, I don't know if you've ever seen this where people use like a tote, like a food tote, and they put the plug where it meets in it, and then they got holes on the end of it, and they seal the top of it, and it's a way to keep it from getting wet. I mean, if you really want to DIY it, but you're a little bit afraid of wiring anything, that's something you could do with an extension cord.
Sure. Good ideas. Lots of good ideas out there. Like I said, you can YouTube and Pinterest could definitely be your friend for ideas and how-tos on things. There are a lot of good stuff out there, but there's so many different. I've seen so many really nice setups on outdoor kitchens.
Yeah.
I've even seen some really nice DIY ones that, like I said, they didn't spend a lot of money on these basic materials, but they look really nice on how they set them up. So there's some good ideas out there. I've seen some really good stuff. So browse around, find some good ideas. And if it's something that's important to you and you feel like it'd be really beneficial for your homestead, which I think it is, I find it really helpful and nice. Like I said, I haven't canned indoors in years. I want that steam outside. Even if you just set it outside on a picnic table, just get it out of the house because it's just too hot to have inside steaming up your house. But just anything you can do outside is a benefit. Plus, it's just good to be outside. It's just good.
Yeah, I mean, the health benefits of being outside, amazing.
Yep. So be outside all you can. So
that's but we live where there's 4 seasons, so we really try to get the most out of our summer.
Yeah, I spend plenty of time indoors in the wintertime. I want to be outside as much as I can when the weather's appropriate, definitely.
Right. And so
that's the thing else too. If you have a roof, it's so great, even if it's raining, to sit out there and just enjoy the rain outside when it's raining and be under roof. So nice. Just pleasant.
I love that. And I'm thinking too, like if you're a person that lives in like the Southwest where it's really, really hot, you get the 3 months of summer where you probably spend inside, and then you're outside the other time. So it's the opposite.
You're
so they still would have an outdoor kitchen, just maybe not out there in the summer.
Maybe not using, summertime's when you're going to avoid it and you're going to be using it the rest of the year, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Well, anything else before we wrap it up here?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, folks, I hope we got you thinking about outdoor kitchens, outdoor cooking spaces, making the most of that space and, enjoying the outdoors a little bit. And until next time, happy homesteading. God bless.
And grow where you're planted.